This video is made for adult collectors because look, we got another Lego one.
A man has fallen into the river in Lego City. Start the new rescue helicopter. Hey! Build the helicopter. And off to the rescue. Prepare the lifeline. Lower the stretcher. And make the rescue. The new emergency collection from Lego City.
Lego Optimus was super cool, a giant buildable Optimus Prime that is official and transforms, and when he released, it left people scratching their heads going, who's next? I was hoping for Soundwave, but we got Bumblebee and I ain't mad because that's probably the smartest choice. I still want a Soundwave at some point. So, it's out now. How is it? Worth the 120 Canadian dollars it's fetching? Before I go any further, sponsor time! This video is brought to you by Try Treats, a snack subscription service that delivers snacks once a month to your door from a new country each month. Sorry, Try Treats, my family dug into the box before I had a chance to shoot the B-roll. They always love when these boxes show up. It's like a big event for my parents because they're the ones who eat this. So like they dug into this box as soon as I got it.
And the cheese crackers. They're good. I can have the whole bag. And the barbecue snacks. Got a little waffly print on them. They're good too.
So check them out, links in the description down below, and if you use code THATTOYGUY, you'll save 15% off your first box. So thank you very much for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the actual toy. So the title of this is an articulated statue, and that's like the best way I can describe it. He is completely immobile from the waist down. Before I go into all the things it can't do that Prime can, though, I do like the look. They managed to get the general vibe of Bumblebee, like a bigger version of the 86 one, kind of. I use heavy air quotes there when I say kind of. There is a healthy dose of color breakup here, black, yellow, and gray, like most Bumblebees, and like most Bumblebees, it's very difficult to film. It is pretty kibbly, but to make a sturdy Lego Transformer that has to pass every safety and Lego build standard test and stuff like that, it does a good job of, well, looking like Bumblebee. And the pairing of him and Optimus, it looks mostly okay, but I'll touch on that later. The build was fun. It wasn't a long one, but it was neat seeing how like things are made, such as the feet and the build of the arms. The legs were a bit boring because they're just bricks, but like that's the only boring part about the build, and it was really quick. I do like how the legs collapse the doors and use the hood and bumper to like form the feet. It's super satisfying to get everything folded away and flipped up to make all the detail around the foot. Now I don't know how Lego design teams work. I know how Hasbro ones do. I have no idea about Lego. But according to Brickset, the guy who made this, Samuel Liltorp Johnson, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, worked on Lego Voltron, which I still want one day because that thing looks epic. Optimus was designed by Joseph Kide, who worked at Hasbro as a Transformer designer for years, and because of those details between each designer, you can tell the difference between the two. Optimus can pose mostly. There's no knees because limitations of Lego structure, but even still, you can sort of pull off some dynamic looks. Bumblebee really can only do like this. One was designed by a guy who worked on action figures for years, and one was worked on by a guy who did Lego sets for years. Like one's designed to be an action figure, the other is designed to be a Lego display model, and you can really tell. I just punched the lamp on my desk by accident because I'm moving my hands around, and it hurt. And their aesthetics. Prime looks as close to G1 as possible because that's kind of easy. He's just a bunch of like solid moving brick. Bumblebee is a bit more difficult to do, but even still their aesthetics don't really match that well. Bumblebee has a lot of the car hanging off of him. His shoulders are really set far back from the neck, and he's super limited in his posing. I'll show that off later too. But B can just stand there with his arms waving around, kind of like a G1 toy. They do make a point to tell you when they've invented a new piece, which I think is kind of funny in the instructions, but one of them is this new ratchet component, and even though it does move a little bit back and forth, it is so much more stable than Prime's torso was, and that's where the quote-unquote this isn't an action figure, it's a Lego set thing comes from. This is built to be stable, secure, and remain standing, though there is a bit of play in the ankles, but Prime was designed to pose, and because of that, certain things like his torso are a tiny bit unstable, but manageable. This barely poses, and it feels detrimental a bit because it's meant to pair with Prime, who is posable, but it is very, very sturdy. Doesn't mean I don't like it, I just think it's a slightly odd choice between the two. The back is kind of ugly, but so was Prime's without the jetpack, but like it's Lego, what do you expect? He comes with his gun, and it's a pretty neat build to achieve what we sort of now see as the standard Autobot pistol, and a plaque that gives him a strength of 2 and a fire blast of 1. Bro is not making it out alive. But back to that articulation. As an action figure fan, it's a tad bit eh.
This just clips in via the 3mm clip that clips onto his hand. One of the things, before I get into the articulation, one of the things I was asked when I built this was if this piece is the same as Optimus Prime's faceplate. And yes, it is. There's Prime, you can't see him. So quickly what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take Optimus's mouth off. Then we're gonna take Bumblebee's face off. His whole head came off, okay. And we're going to put Bumblebee's face on Prime's... There you go. That's what that looks like. You can have double face Optimus if you want, I guess. I'm taking a picture of that actually. That's really funny. Boop. There we go. All right. Let's get that back. Give that back to Bumblebee. So to start with, the head is on a ball joint. You get a lot of nice range there. So he can tilt left and right. He can turn. He can look up. He can look. Can't really look down that much. So the head, very good. Very good. Shoulders, they can rotate. They can do a full 360, but as you can see, bits do bump into other bits. They go out about that far. That's as far as the shoulders go out. And when you move the shoulders, right, you go to move the ratchets, but the transformation hinge moves first. That fell off. The transformation hinge moves first because there's no locking point for it. You do have elbow bends. They bend 90 degrees. You have wrist rotation, and then if you want to use it, you have hips can go out. But the way that the feet are designed, they use tires at the bottom as grips. So if you move the hips out, those aren't going to touch the ground, and then he can't move. But that's all this figure does, or set. I'm going to call it a figure because you're building an action figure out of Lego. That's all this figure does. Doesn't really do much. He does technically have an ab crunch if you want to get like real into it, but then you start transforming it. So, there we go. Oh, and then the hips can rotate. They can go forward and back. But again, once you do that, you lift the tires off the ground and then he has no grip and he falls over. I'm not going to demonstrate that because the last time I did, his foot exploded.
So yeah, it looks neat, but to me, it doesn't feel as nifty as Optimus. It's still cool and sturdy, but it can't really do much, is what I would say if it didn't also transform.
So this being a Lego set, it's a transformation you're going to want to take a little slower because it's not like this where you can just ham fist it together. This will fall apart because it is Lego. So to start with, what we're going to do is we're going to fold away the fingers. You just fold them all up. The thumb very nicely fits in between the fingers, which is cool. Then you rotate these sections out and then spin this 180 degrees, or 90 degrees, sorry, to line up. Stop coming off. This one keeps wanting to pop off and I don't know why. Like the brick doesn't actually have enough clutch power. What is going on? I don't know. What happens if I like swap them? Hang on. We're gonna swap them around and that's staying. Okay, that was weird. Then you straighten out the arms and we're going to leave them like that for now. Then you want to take these sections and fold them up. And then you want to come back here and parts form the windshield. Oh no, it is Lego. What do you expect? There's only so much you can do with Lego. This wasn't folding away anywhere. It's kind of like Prime, where you have to take his backpack off and change the front bumper. So once we've done that, we are going to take this and rotate these forward. Well, the shoulders are forward. Now we're going to work on the feet, which is really satisfying. So you open up the doors, you open up this panel here, fold this down, close that panel back up, then you flip this up and make it flush, flip the front in, and that is a leg done, and that is super nice to do. Now, when doing this though, you want to make sure that you fold this panel down first, because if you clip them together and then try to fold this down, it's not going to work. So getting all that lined up, getting all that lined up. Now you see those two C-clips in there, they're going to clip together. There we go. Now, you want to take this entire assembly, bring it up. You can't see that. Let me show you. Take this entire assembly, bring it up and over the head. This does come off every once in a while, this assembly, because it's on two hinge struts. Now you want to take this, ratchet this back, fold that down, ratchet this forward, and just accordion it until it collapses, and it will peg in with these little studs are going to go into those holes. So you get that all lined up, boom and boom. Now we're going to bring this back section up, fold up the rear bumper, and just sort of open the engine bay and actually just leave it all the way up like that. Rotate that, rotate that, and then clip the arms into place. They're using the same sort of C-clip system that the legs used. Then you fold in the doors, fold and just sort of like compress the bumper at the back. And then take this and it will just peg into the studs at the top here that you can't see. But actually, I want to show something. When you do that, this little notch right here, that little notch, that hinge right there, they've designed it so that that's so satisfying to watch. That twisted. That is so satisfying to watch. But once you have all that done, there's your Beetle. That's not difficult, and it's not a traditional Bumblebee transformation. Like the legs do the same, but the arms, the way that they work is kind of interesting, and how the backpack folds up.
So once you understand how all of that works and take things slow, because Lego, it is super satisfying to get into this faux Beetle. And yes, it's not a real Beetle because no Volkswagen license, because as I'm learning, that's a very expensive license. So I'm fine with this. I feel like that would have brought the price up even more if they added a Volkswagen license to this thing. I do like, though, how the whole figure compacts into car mode, mass shifting slightly to form a much smaller car than the robot. Like, the robot's a tiny bit taller. And I opted for the 2 Autobot symbols to match the 86 toy because I think that's funny. But you do also get swappable blank tiles if you want to keep the car plain or cover up one or both of the Autobot symbols. They did get the general shape of the Beetle down. The bulbous headlights, the tire on the back, the hood shape with the split down the center. That split leading into the frame of the windshield with that small notch in it for the hinge to sit in is such a nice touch and is so satisfying to build. He has massive rolling wheels, so he rolls very well, and a single piece hubcaps to match like the Beetle's like single hubcap look thing. I love that. I do wish they were shiny, but that's asking for too much, I think. There is a little bee in the windshield, which is neat. Reminds me of like the biatch thing that was hanging from the first film's Camaro, which I did actually buy my buddy Andrew one of those. I found it on Buy, and he owns a Camaro, so that's kind of funny. Bee also comes with a swappable license plate. Glad they aren't optional stickers, rather optional plates. I personally go for Gold Bug because I think that's funny. And it's nice and dense for a car, and you can pick it up from like the rear windshield stuff, and it's pretty stable. It's not going to crumble, which is more than I can say for Optimus just due to his legs hanging out. It's just heavy. The weapon, as far as I know, doesn't actually go anywhere in the alt mode. I haven't watched any videos on this because I wanted to experience the build and the figure for myself. But yeah, I can't find a place for the gun to go officially. Obviously, it's Lego. You can plug it on wherever. But on Prime, it became the trailer hitch. Here, the instructions just kind of put it off to the side. But in the end, is it worth 120 Canadian that I paid for it? Well, it is a Lego set, so it's going to be expensive. And then it's a licensed Lego set, so there's going to be Hasbro tax on it. So the price makes sense. I just feel it may be a bit too much for what you're getting. Prime felt more worth it because you got Prime, his axe, his gun, a plaque, a spare bumper, the Matrix, and all the posing and interactivity he had, and his jetpack. Bumblebee here is just Bumblebee, gun, plaque, and a couple of replacement bits. He can't do as much as Optimus, and he's still more than $100. Just because he can't do as much as Prime, though, doesn't mean he's bad. He is much smaller, and that turns things a bit more difficult. I just like Prime more than this. If you think as a Lego fan that this makes sense, then by all means go for it. As a Transformers fan though, it feels a tiny bit on the pricey side. Like this guy is almost the exact same price as Commander Armada Optimus. And you get a lot more play value out of Commander Armada Optimus for me. Even though you don't build it, it does more when you're finished. I do recommend it even if it goes like 15% off or something. I know the common thing is Lego never goes on sale, but I do see it go on sale from time to time, especially when like Costco starts buying sets and selling them. They sell them for discount, so you could wait for Costco, I guess. But that's my look at Lego Bumblebee. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.